Speaking through the gray. Speaking through the gray. Speaking through the gray. How did that happen?
What's up, everybody? I'm Dan.
And I'm Jasmine.
Welcome back to Speaking Through the Gray, episode number 8.
Yes.
8, okay. So today we are blessed to be joined by the Peruvian powerhouse, Jonatan Torrejon.
Let's go. ¿Cómo están? Hola.
All right, can we shut that? Okay, yeah. I always forget that thing goes on forever.
Where's this coming from?
But yeah, man, super excited. Thank you for coming out,
Yeah, of
making
course.
the drive.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you guys, we were just talking right before we hit record. You guys have been in the States now for a year today, correct?
Today it's been a year. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
A year ago. Because my wife was showing me a picture that we went to her father's house. He picked us up and I did lomo saltado.
Oh, wow.
I did that Peruvian dish. I was like, I had to do this. They loved it. So, yeah. It was funny because I was calling my mom, hey, Mom, how do you do lomo saltado? Can you just send me? And she was like, in voice DMs, she was like, okay, you got to do this. And I was like, all right. Everybody loved it. So
Peruvian food is so good.
Yeah,
it is.
They were voted the
my
number
goodness.
one culinary destination in the world multiple years in a row.
Always.
Heck
And
yeah,
I think it's a good thing and also a curse because every time I go to a place and I try something, I'm like,
It's like, it's not
You're like
good.
the number one food critic in the room.
or if they do like a Peruvian food, I'm like, I try and I'm like,
It's like,
what are you doing?
You're like, I want to be nice here, but it's making it very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
all right, so I will never try to make Peruvian food for you. Good to know.
Not unless you spend time really investing
Yeah,
and
it's
learning
not
while
gonna
we're
be
there.
good.
Just gotta, love is the
Love.
Love's the number one ingredient.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's been a year.
Yeah, heck yeah.
great.
So we want to talk about a lot of topics, especially
Alright.
involving missions. But backstory, we met, oh gosh, I don't even want to say how many years ago because it's just going to make us both sound old, but probably like 22 years ago, approximately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So the first time I left the country and went to Peru on a missions trip, I was about 12 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Aw.
And that's where we met, and we got to have a bunch of adventures and all that fun stuff. Skateboarding
Dude.
and
Oh, nice.
yeah. And one of the funny stories I remember, we were at a shopping mall. And there was a security guard, and he told us to leave. And we weren't allowed to skateboard there. And then as soon as the security guard walked away, he's like, "All right, he's gone. Let's go back."
Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Skateboarding, that's
I
the
was
way.
like, he already knows
Yeah.
skateboarding culture, and that's before skateboarding got really big in Peru. So
Yeah,
that's awesome. But
Yeah.
so we just want to hear. So, what's your experience? What's the mentality of growing up as a missionary kid?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was I don't know. It was a mix of like craziness and also like excitement and just exploring. Because I saw my parents. My parents, my dad. My
Yeah.
dad. His name is Raul. He's a crazy guy.
Oh, yeah.
And since I'm a kid, he got me involved in ministry and just taking me to camps. And actually, I had a nickname in Peru, and it was Camperito. I don't know how to translate it, but it was like a small camper, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because I was my dad took me everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Carlos Odicio, actually, he gave me that name. He was like,
Aw.
"Oh, Camperito," little camper, because I
Carlos.
was in camps all the time with BCM and all that. But yeah, just growing up with as a missionary kid, I think it was, for me, in my personal experience, I think it was amazing. I know so many other missionary kids, and they have different experiences. But for me, it was just exciting to see and just kind of like start getting to know what was missions through my parents. I remember my dad getting me a lot of missionary books, Jim Elliot. I still have actually a book, Jim Elliot, like from 95 or something like that.
Yeah.
I still have it, and it's like I remember reading that story, and I was like, "This is crazy."
That's the End of the Spear one, right?
Yeah. The story.
I just showed her the film from that.
Oh,
recently.
really? Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember reading missionary stories and just looking at my parents just doing ministry and just enjoying it with friends, with people probably don't know them, but Lucho, Juaz, and so many friends of my dad. And I was like, well, this is awesome. This is cool. I'm having fun, but at the same time, I'm getting this passion for people, caring for people, loving people, and just sharing the gospel. And I remember my parents, they did a mission trip I remember, I think it was like January to March. It was like around 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So they took a team of young people from Peru, BCN. They had like a little Bible Institute, and they took like, I don't know, like around 15 guys between girls and boys. And we went like 3 months around the jungle of Peru, visiting churches. Before that, they had a program for kids, drama, like a sketch for kids, for young people, for the church. We brought like movies to present it. It was amazing. I remember just going there and just being with people, like with young guys that also wanted to live for Christ and just go and preach the gospel. I was in that environment. I was like, hey, this is amazing. Right?
Wow.
This is something that I want to do, and I would start growing with that passion of the gospel and missions. And I remember one time, this is a funny story because we were in the jungle. It was a small town, and they sent us 2 by 2. Like the story Jesus sent us 2 by 2. But I went by myself because I was around like 13, and
I was just gonna ask, how old are you?
Yeah, I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I remember going to this house, and there was a lady like at the door, and I went there and I was starting sharing the gospel. I was 14, 13. I was like, hey, we're a team that we came here. We're gonna have a movie night. We're gonna present a movie about Jesus, a Christian movie. You're invited. Hey, let me tell you a story that changed my life. In my own words, I was so nervous, but at the same time, I was like, I was so like passionate about doing it. And I remember she got so mad. She was Catholic. She got so mad, and she started like, insulting me. I was 14. I was like,
Oh, gosh.
and she started throwing rocks at me.
Oh.
Get out, get out. And I was like, I'm sorry. I remember going back to the church, and I was just like, on the way, I was just crying because I was like, oh,
Did she actually get you at all?
No, she didn't.
Oh, so
that's good.
Yeah.
At least she didn't have a good arm.
I think he was more like inner hurt than outer hurt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's like a cultural thing as far as like Catholicism. in South America.
Yeah.
It's really like strong rooted in the tradition. But yeah, I remember just crying, and just my dad was like, "What happened? What happened?" I was like, I told the story, and it was like, well, first, that's why we tell you to go two of you, and not just one. But he was like, hey, he read the story of Jesus when he says, rejoice when you're persecuted or you're insulted because of my name. And I remember just like those little like things that happen, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great, right? So yeah, I think what my parents did, they never pressured me to do anything. Like they were not like, you have to go. We're your parents. You gotta obey us. They were like, hey, we're gonna do this. You want to come? And they always show me through their example and not through their, you got to do this because we tell you to do it.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to kind of like explore and grow in my own decisions and convictions that I was kind of like having or getting in the process, in the mission trips. There's also a ministry called Compartiendo. I was a clown. I remember, I think the first time I was a clown, I think I was 7. my dad just like, hey, we need a clown. He was like, all right,
Here you
That's what
go.
we're doing.
and I remember doing it,
Aw.
and that was the beginning. They were like, all right, you're a clown now. But yeah, I think in my experience, I think it was crucial in my life because that's how I started getting that passion, my personal passion for missions, for the gospel. And yeah, I think my parents did a great job in like raising me in an environment that was not, oh yeah, dad went away for another 3 months. We're staying here.
Yeah.
It was always like, hey, we're doing this together as a family.
Wow.
But you're not pressured to do anything, but just come with us.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because one time we went through the Amazon River. My sisters were like around the Priscilla. She was like maybe 1.5, and Luisa was like 4. And we went in the Amazon River for like 3 days in a boat
Oh, wow.
to get from Yurimaguas to Iquitos in the Amazon River, and that was wild. It was
I'm
just
sure.
amazing. I mean, it was because we were there was like two levels. The first level was like rooms where my dad got my mom and my sister a room, but everybody else was down where there was just like big like what's it called, like sticks where you put like hammocks and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we were like, all the first floor was just like hammocks all around.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
around.
yeah.
And we slept there, but it was amazing. I remember talking to this guy. He was from, I think he was from Holland, and I was 14 as well, and I shared the gospel with him. It was like I was asking him, hey, what do you think about God? that was my conversation. Or I think I said, hey, what do you think about creation or something like that? But yeah, I mean, those little things just got me that passion for missions, and I was like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this with my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, growing up around like other missions kid around this like kind of same topic, but like growing up around other missionary kids, like as far as a pastor's kid growing up, like I had that similar experience where my dad took me out. I was like in ministry with him and like got to experience, and that's how I got my passion too. But like I see there's so many stereotypes around pastors' kids where like they're either like the super cringy weird kid who has no social skills, or they're like the rebellious,
for sure.
wayward child type of situation. But did you see that much in around other missionary kids, or did you see a lot of that similar experience of what you had?
I think I like the friends that I had when I was growing in Peru. I think it was the same experience as me. One of my best 2 friends was Jared and Jeremy. We still are in touch, but I remember growing up with them, and I remember Jeremy. He's a missionary now in Argentina. Jared, he lives here in PA, and he's also involved with the church. So I think growing up with them, I think I saw like the same experience, and yeah, it's just so nice to know that the people you grew up with are like walking in the Lord, and
That's great.
they're just serving God in different ways, not just only as a full-time missionary, but also, in whatever they are in their job or in the church, or, it's beautiful to see that. I also have friends, obviously, that are in the other side of the spectrum that they're like,
Kind of distance themselves from
themselves, and everybody has their own experience and the struggles, because at the end of the day, it's, you start taking decisions and you start having your own faith, and not just the faith of your parents. You just got to get your own decisions, your experience, your faith, or start your journey as Jonathan, or as an individual. So yeah, I mean, I think thank God for Jeremy and Jared, and
I love them
also
too.
David Paima. I'm saying their names. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names.
Well, you're good.
Okay, David, what's up? But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that they're like working for the Lord as well.
Yeah. So you said you would go like 3 months at a time. So I know when we went to Africa and before we went to Peru, it's like you're completely switching your culture is it uncomfortable? Do you get uncomfortable sometimes? And how do you push past that? Like, I'm not in my comfort zone. I'm sleeping in a different bed.
Yeah.
The temperature is completely different. People are different. How do you push past that?
Like when I was growing up.
Yeah. And like, is it more comfortable now that you're older and you still do that?
Well, when I was in that time, I was like, I could sleep in a tree, and I was like happy. I was like, oh, let's go, I'm Tarzan or something like that. But now I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
But I think now with having a family and having kids, I think I would do it if I had the opportunity just by myself again.
Got you.
But with a family, it's different, because it's you had to think about them, and you don't want to teach them, hey, we only are going to sleep in like this nice areas only. You want also to teach them, hey, we got to be thankful and just do life like this, as like we should be thankful for what we have. But there's other side of like you want to take care of them. But with Casey, actually with my wife, before we had the kids, in Bolivia, we went to different places together. I remember we went to a place called, it was in Oruro. It was so cold. And oh man, it was like, we slept in like a single bed. It was like really small, and it was so cold. So we were just like hugging. But we enjoyed those things, right? We enjoyed those things. And now we think about, with the girls, it would have been another, a different story, because we wanted to just take care of them and just try to not get them the luxury of like, hey, we're gonna be in a hotel or something like that, but just try to manage to also give them the best.
Dude, when I went to Cusco the first time, well, I've only been there once, but we went, it was like a missions retreat with BCM. And we were staying, so all either the single men or the men who didn't bring their wives on the trip, like we all had stayed in this, it basically was like a shed, like there's no insulation or anything. And so like during the day it was like 60s or whatever, but at night it like dropped down to like 30 degrees. Dude. And I remember I had like a thick sleeping bag and like 3 blankets, and I'm just like, is this what it means to suffer for Christ? I'm like, it's such a small thing, and I'm like, goodness gracious. But I was like, yeah, that's, those are the moments where you're like,
any mission trip where I'm uncomfortable, it's like, all right, this is the choice that I made. And then I have to, like, faith over comfort.
But I think I can survive in like warm environments more than cold.
Yeah, that's
like, I can go.
I saw your one TikTok and I was like, I got you. I can go to like, a rainforest, which is like, I don't know, like 80, 90 degrees, and I'm okay. I'm just like without a t-shirt, just shorts, cold. I'm like miserable. I don't know, like that's I don't know. I don't like cold. That's why I'm so sad that summer is ending.
Yeah,
like,
it's
why?
coming, especially in Pennsylvania. It's gonna be over for a while.
But who knows? In December, it'll be like 90 degrees one random day. So it goes up and down.
Yeah. That's true.
So, what is a process of becoming a missionary? I don't know the process of becoming a missionary.
Or at least, what was your process?
What was your process?
My process, it started when I was a kid. Started with that passion when I saw my parents and just seeing them doing missions and ministry, and also reading. And I remember one time when I was like around, even before the mission trips, I remember I was like around 9, 8, and there was like a little missions conference at my church. And I remember going to the mic. They have a picture of it, and me saying, I just want to share that when I grow up, I want to be a missionary. That's were my words. And I think since I'm a kid, I had that mentality of when I grow up, I want to give my life to Christ. I want to just preach the gospel. I want to live as a missionary. And I think while I was growing up in high school, doing homeschool, I'm homeschooled, by the way, doing homeschool and just getting to the point where I was going to finish high school, I thought to myself, hey, I still want to do this. I still want to serve God. I want to be a missionary. And I start asking, okay, how do you do it? How do you do it? Is there a condition that I have to do something? And one of the things that actually my grandpa, he's now with the Lord, and he was one of the guys who was like, hey, you should go to the Bible Institute and get to know more about that God that you want to serve, know about more about Him. And I was like, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. And I remember people talking about a place called Monte, Word of Life, Argentina. So I was like, you know what? I think before I even want to just go, I think I have to know more about Scripture, about God. And to be honest, when I got there, I just realized I know nothing about the Bible. I know nothing about so many things. I was like, what is this a thing? Is this what is this called? And while I was there, I started like getting that passion for Scripture and just to get to know how to communicate, how to teach, how to disciple, what was discipleship. And I think that was the process of God confirming that calling that I had since I was a little kid. And I remember after I finished the Bible Institute, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that, hey, Lord, here's my life. I want to serve you. I want to be a missionary. I want to dedicate my life to you. Here I am. I don't know where you're going to take me. Here I am. And I remember it was hard because most of my friends, they were like dating already, about to get married. There were some of them knew where they were gonna go. Some of them were like raising support, and I was like, here, no, no girl, no like a clear place where I was gonna go. And I was like, all right, God, what are you
doing?
Yeah. And I remember God took me to different places. I remember after Bible Institute, I went back to Bolivia. I spent some time there. My parents were missionaries there. So I started helping in the ministry that they were getting involved. And then I went to Peru to be in my church and just help in my church. Then I went to Ecuador to help a friend in their church. I came back to Peru. Then I went back to Bolivia. Then I came to the States because there was a ministry called Helping Hands. Today it's called Moya Missions. And they were like, hey, there is a group of kids from Uganda that's coming to the States, and we need people to be with them, and we need people to help us with the sound system that we're going to visit. So I was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So I went there. Then I came back to Bolivia, and then I went to Uganda. So it was not like, I think in my experience, it was not like just one time that it was like, all right, this is it. It was like a process. God was just teaching me how to trust Him in different steps. Like it was like a step at a time. It was not like, hey, this is what I have for you. And I knew everything. Oh yeah, this is where I'm going to go. This is the type of ministry I'm going to do. It was like God taking me, just take this step, be obedient, be faithful. And I will take you to the next step. And that's what I was doing. I was just taking a step at a time, and I was being passionate in the place I was. And then the next step will lead me to finally be able to, all right, this is where I want to be. This is the place I want to be. So after Uganda, I came back to Bolivia. And to be honest, it was a really hard time because I wanted to go back to Uganda, and I was like, okay, this is it, Lord. All right, this is it. I wanted to go to Africa since I'm a kid, and this is it. This is it. Finally, let's go. And the door closed, and I was like, now what? I was like, Lord, this is it. Like, if it's not Uganda, then that's it. Because for me, doing missions was a specific place. It was like a place. It was like, for me, it was that place. And when I get there, that's when I'm gonna be a missionary. That's when I'm gonna start doing what God has called me to do. And when that place, when that door was closed, I was like, all right, now what? Now what? And God like took me into a point where He was teaching me, hey, it's not about a place, it's where you are right now. You have the gifts. I give you a gift. You have all the preparation, everything you have now. What are you doing right now that you can be able to be a blessing and for the people with the gospel, with discipleship? And it took me a while to realize that. And it was a period of time when I was like lost. I was like, God, do you really call me to missions? Because I thought it was that place. That place it's closed now. So what now? What now? But yeah, it was. And during that time, it was amazing because that's where I met Casey, my wife.
In Bolivia?
Yeah, we met in Bolivia.
Nice.
We met like 2015. What was happening was 2016. And it's a long story, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
The podcast listeners are excited about it.
So and it was in that period of time when I met Casey, and that's when also God was leading me to be in Bolivia, because I think there was a click in my mind of saying, you know what, I'm not gonna wait until I am in the right place that I think it's the place that where I should be or where I think I'm being called. I'm gonna start now, and I'm gonna see, okay, what can I do now that I can just use my gifts, my talents, and my passion. So I started doing that. I was like, all right, God, I'm here. All right, you want me to stay here? All right, I'm gonna start doing it. So I started being more involved with the ministry there in Bolivia, and it was amazing. I was like, whoa, I actually can be used here. I don't have to wait until I'm there. And God, brought Casey to my life, and I was able to help with a ministry for children, and then I was helping there, and then I took the ministry, and I was like, all right, God, thank you. So it was a process of me of like doubt and just putting my trust in God and just saying, okay, what is missions? Like, is it a place, or is like actually a calling, obedience to the calling wherever I am? And in that process of realizing that it's not just a place, it's a calling that you can do whatever you are. That's when God leads you to, all right, now you get it. Now I'm going to guide you to where I want you to be.
And it's not your plan, it's God's plan. Like we fix it in our mind, like this is what I want to do. And it's God's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
This is not your plan, it's mine.
He's just like watching. It's like,
okay.
no. Actually, come here.
All the time.
Yeah, well, that
humbles us.
Yeah,
every day.
He does. But at the end of the day, his plans are better than ours, and
amen to that.
And I think that was amazing because I get to know Casey. And we got married and we went back to Bolivia to serve together. Actually, 6 years ago we came to the church to share the ministry, and that's
really?
Oh yeah, it was like was it right before or right after you got married?
No, it was like a week before we were getting married.
Yeah, I remember.
Because Casey had the dress in the car. She had like all these covers because she was like, you can't see my dress in marriage. I remember having all the stuff in the car, like the little things for decoration.
I remember walking you out to the car after the service, and I was like, oh man, you got a bunch of stuff in there.
We got married in the same year, right? What year did you guys?
We got married
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Well,
we both almost got in trouble.
Babe. What?
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble. It's life.
Because you guys were in, what was it? Earlier in the year, right? It was like March or
it
April?
was. Oh man, you're gonna be
should
in
know
trouble.
your anniversary.
Yeah, March 3rd. March 3rd.
There you go. Because I think it was February.
This is not live, right? Cause
no.
She's sending me messages. You're sleeping in the couch.
Don't worry, my parents' couch is comfortable. Right? But part of that kind of transitions in.
Does.
But what we were saying before, I think like especially for a takeaway for people that are listening, like that whole that mindset of wanting to, like for me, like I want to be in full-time ministry, and I know like God keeps saying like basically not like he's not saying no, he's saying not yet. You know what I mean? But like the reality of like our life being full-time ministry, no matter what, or like you were saying, like it's more of the journey you're on that makes you a missionary, not the destination, not the place. And it's just like very interesting, like that whole thing. But you were talking about, obviously meeting your wife. But what's it like having a family and leading your family and also being a missionary? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's, now I can understand my parents now a little bit more, because just having a family and doing ministry, sometimes it could be challenging.
It could be challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie on the pod. She'll call you out.
It's challenging, because you know that your first ministry is your family.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's what God calls us as men, and just to provide and guide our family. And ministry, it's also important, but it cannot be the first thing, because I've seen so many missionaries and people that are in ministry that they put ministry over their family, and that is something that is really, it's not good for their kids, because they grow up in an environment where they're like, yeah, my dad, he puts, he's not home, he doesn't care, or those kind of thoughts. But for me, it's I'm still learning, to be honest. I'm still learning how to be balanced between the passion that I have for ministry and for preaching the gospel and doing things for the Lord, but at the same time, my family and how I'm leading my family, how I am responsible in just taking care of them spiritually, emotionally, physically, and how I don't want it to just the balance, just the balance. Because sometimes, especially when we were in Bolivia, where we were serving, sometimes it was hard, because I'm the kind of guy that when he wants to do something, I do it until I want to finish.
Yeah.
Like I just put my mind, and I'm like, I can stay hours and not realize.
Yes.
And not realize that, oh, wait, I got to go home. Hey,
Yep.
I got to go have dinner.
There's a balance,
And it's sometimes hard, because you want to give everything for the Lord, but at the same time, the Lord asks for you to be there for your family, that your family is first, and that's your first ministry. And it's hard. It's hard. But I with Casey, we always, constantly praying, and how God can lead us, especially like now parenting, which is a new stage that we're in. They're terrible, dude. Like
ours is too.
They are the sweetest girls. I love them to death. But oh my goodness, sometimes I'm like, can we just leave them here and just go and get coffee? Will they be okay? I mean, how bad it is? How bad will it be? Like, are we bad parents? But I mean,
what are the laws in the U.S. around this? Like,
I'm just learning. Hey, if they ask, hey, I'm just got the green card. I don't know. But I mean, we love them. But I mean, it's sometimes it's challenging. Like I said, it's challenging. Sorry, it's challenging. And also with Casey as well. Because I want to be with my wife. I want to spend time with her. I want to give, go take, the simplest thing, just get the flowers, go for a date and spend time with her.
Yeah.
And sometimes in ministry is like you're so full of so many things you have to do, and you got to come to a point that you have to say, no, I can't do that. Even though it's a good opportunity, even though it's like, hey, this is a ministry opportunity, I have to be like, no, I'm not going to do it. I promised my wife I was going to take her out. Yeah. And it's hard. And I know if Casey, is watching this, I know she can tell you, he's trying hard to be able to do that. The other day, Casey, she planned a date, because my sisters were in town for my girl's birthday, and they were like, hey, go have a date. And Casey planned a date. Aww. And we went to this boat. It was nice. I was like, hey, this is like Titanic. I was like, can we go? Can we go and take a picture? You can just go there, and and can someone play the soundtrack of Titanic in the back? But it was good. And then I was thinking, well, why it was not my idea? Like, I was thinking, she did it, which is great. It's not that only the guy has to plan everything. But I was like, hey, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't been able to, hey, let's go.
We haven't had one in a while either.
Yeah. Hey.
She brought you on here for a reason.
All right, guys, what is going on with you guys?
It turns into marriage counseling.
So this is what you got to do.
No, that balance is hard. Like, anytime we do ministry and we'll start doing something, and then our kids are acting up in the background. Let me go raise our kids real quick. while we're trying to teach this class, and like that finding that balance is crazy. And we also had someone on here who has a business and kids, and we're like, how do you find the balance between your business life? And he was like, I don't think we are fully. So like I get it. And kids are so unpredictable. You have like seasons change so quickly.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
I
It's
know.
wild.
And it's also like hard to see them, like not hard, but like my oldest, she's 4 now, and I was looking at pictures of her of when she was 1. And I was like, what? When did this happen?
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I not that I failed, but I feel like I wish I spend more time with her sometimes. You know, I wish I'd say no to this and be present, more present. I'm not saying that I was not. I mean, I was, but I'm like, I wish I was more present.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just like I said, it's the balance you have to find.
Yeah, it's a
and-
constant
and
battle.
I think you know, it's not that someone gets to a point that I figured everything out, because you know, kids grow, the different stage.
Well, as soon as you figure it out, then things change.
Yeah,
You know what I
as
mean?
soon as you figure it out, all right, they're 13 now.
Yeah,
and, you know, they're complaining about, you know, other things, and you're like, all right. I think it's a process of just trusting in God and just be dependent on Him and just love them, like, you know, like Jesus says, love one another like I loved you, and just be there, be present. I think that's the key. Be present, because you can be there, but you cannot be present. You can just be thinking, oh, I have to do this for ministry. I have to prepare this message, and you know, you have responsibility, but you have to find the balance of like, all right, I'm gonna be here. I'm not gonna think about anything else. I'm gonna be present for my wife, for my kids, and it's a struggle that I think every missionary and pastor, I think they go through.
Yeah.
But you know, we're growing,
Yeah.
and thank God for Jesus that we can't do anything without Him, so He gives us the strength to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's like we have to be in that constant state of like self-reflection and, you know, just like that whole search my heart, God, know my thoughts.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that same way, it's like as we look at how we are walking the path of, you know, trying to walk the path of righteousness and asking God to call us out on any areas we don't even see, it's like we have to have that balance of like, you know, having the Holy Spirit speak into our hearts and to guide us, but also teaming up, like as far as a marriage, like in ministry, like even if you're not in the same exact ministry role together, like just doing life as a family and as a ministry, like you have to have that balance of like watching each other's blind spots, like and knowing, like, you know, and that's like we could be like having a rough time and like having communication issues, but then as soon as we sit down and we're like, okay, what's really going on, and then we break it down and we're like, okay, like it all comes down to like us being able to see each other's you know, blind spots, which is not you know, easier said than done, for sure.
Sometimes with Casey, we laugh later, but sometimes we just fight about this stupid things, and
I've
then
never done that. I don't know.
and then we sit down and we're like, babe, I'm sorry,
It's
like
that was dumb.
that was dumb.
Did I turn into a crazy person in the last hour?
Yeah, I know. Well, something happened yesterday, which I'm gonna share it.
Sorry, Casey.
No, it was my
Oh, it's on
fault.
you.
It
Okay,
was on
good.
me. It was like,
You'll look like an angel. You're good.
yeah. It's like how not to deal with a situation.
Yeah, gotcha.
So Casey, well, my little girl Elena has like a camera for her birthday, like a little toy camera that you can actually take pictures, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, she took pictures with my sisters and stuff, and Casey was trying to erase some pictures, and she erased all of the pictures, and she was so sad. She was so. And I got so mad. I was like, "Why? What were you doing? Like, you don't touch it, you know?" And I got so frustrated. And she was like, you know, so sad. And I think I made her feel worse. And then I realized, I was like, "What am I doing?" You know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the internet and see, okay, how can I recover deleted photos in a SD card? So I stayed till like 2 a.m. and I did it.
Oh,
I
really?
recovered the photos.
Well, I
and
know who to call next time I screw up on that. Yeah.
And I
great.
woke her up, and I was like, "Babe, I did it." And she was like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like,
That makes up for you being mean earlier.
Yeah, and I was like, "I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I was a jerk. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking." I was like, "I'm sorry. I love you." And she went to sleep. But I was like,
all right,
She's
you're
like,
doing too
priorities,
much.
I'm tired.
yeah. I was like, "Thank you. All right, leave me alone." But yeah, some situations like that when I'm like, "What am I doing?" And just it's just learning as well.
Yeah.
How to be a good husband.
Yeah.
So don't do that, guys.
Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that. Don't. Bad example right here.
Word.
All right. I'm sorry. I drew a blank just now.
No, you're good.
It's funny because like you were talking about being present and everything, and I'm like, I didn't order the groceries for tomorrow. I literally have grocery order for tomorrow. Yep.
It's all good.
Where you guys go to grocery? Where you do
Walmart.
Walmart.
We're Walmart people, but
Walmart?
I do the pickup because I can't deal with the kids in the store.
Yeah. It's a
That's
nightmare that
smart.
nobody should
So-
experience.
We do. There's a Aldi's really close to us, so we do Aldi's.
Yeah.
Or
Do you do the
sometimes-
grocery pickup too, or do you actually go in?
No, we go in. I actually go in.
You guys are brave. Okay.
Yeah,
Look
we
at
go.
you.
But sometimes I do it myself.
It's a
occasionally.
mission trip on
Yeah.
its own
Oh,
when you
yeah,
bring
yeah.
kids to it. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's one or the other. You can't.
Yeah. Or we go to there's Giant. We go to Giant. There's
Okay.
a closed Giant.
Oh, okay.
We don't
Yeah.
have Giant, do we? No.
No. Not
You know
close
how
to
Giants here?
We don't have Giants.
No, probably close. They did when I lived in Harrisburg. I know, like, so it's more central-ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you said you've been in the U.S. for about a year.
Yeah.
So what was like that deciding to go to a completely different country? What was the calling to being
Well-
a missionary?
We came to the States because we were in Bolivia. 2019 there was like a political crisis, and the crazy thing was that the embassy of the United States were telling all the U.S. citizens to get out of Bolivia,
Oh,
and we were like, should we go? Should we go? But at that time I had a tourist visa. So I think there was a point that they were not allowing people outside from Bolivia that were not like residents and citizens. And then COVID hit, 2020. Casey was pregnant.
of course.
It was tough, man.
Yep.
Oh man,
I was
it
pregnant that year too. Yep.
COVID. Oh man, it was tough because I remember we were stuck in the house. She had like maybe 2 doctor appointments the whole pregnancy because the military was in the streets. You have to get a special permission.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, it was like a movie. Like the military, when you went to the grocery store, there was like military in the door,
Oh wow.
the guns, and there were like this huge door that sprayed like.
In Bolivia at this time we're talking
Yeah, in
about?
Bolivia,
Okay.
like spray like this kind of like.
Disinfectant
Yeah,
type of?
disinfectant.
Oh, wow.
And there was a guy with like
they
a
were doing too
thermometer.
much. They
you
did
know?
too much.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like, what were you checking? I don't have the mark at the beach. But yeah, it was
Is there
crazy.
a barcode up here?
And that's when we start realizing, all right, I think I need like some type of residence, because in COVID they were just allowing residents and citizens as well. So I couldn't come. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time to start, like, for me to have some type of resident. So we start praying, looking for advice, and we were like, all right, let's do it. Let's start. You know, I know it's a long process, and so we started the green card, and it was scary at the same time because we were doing it with an attorney, and we didn't know it was, because there's 50-50 chances you're gonna get it and 50 chance that you're not gonna get it, and you spend all this money and you're like, oh, but God was faithful and we got it. So that meant we have to come to United States, because when you have a green card, you have to be in the States, and you only have some, like, I think it's probably like three months you can go outside the country, and then you have to come back or you lose the resident. So we have to say goodbye to everything we were doing in Bolivia and come here. But we knew it was the time. It was perfect timing, and we knew
Good.
God was putting in our hearts to be able to start something different, to just look for other opportunities. But it was hard because I've been here in the States many times, but I knew I was going back. This time when we got here, I knew I was not going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And-
whole mind.
Oh yeah, it
mindset
was
shift.
it was hard. I think it was really hard the first couple of months because the culture was
Yeah.
different. Like when I went to the grocery stores, I was like, a banana is like that expensive, you know? I can get like
Welcome to our economy.
I can get 50 for that price, you know?
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
one onion, like $1. Like I was like,
like,
what
what
is
are we
going on?
doing?
You know, like
Yeah.
the South American mentality. And I was like thinking, well, how,
It's like, we're gonna
God,
be
you brought
broke.
us here. Yeah. I was thinking, God, you brought us here. And like for me as a dad and a husband, as a father and a husband, I was like, the economy here is way different than in Bolivia. We're still missionaries and we're in the process of transition. And it was just scary, to be honest. It was scary sometimes. I was like, how am I going to do it? How are we going to do it? But God was faithful. Like if I can tell the stories of how God provided a car, housing, it's just like, I'm like, wow, God. Like there's a song that's called "Where You've Been So Good" by Elevation Worship.
I love that song.
There's another
Yeah.
one. What's it called with Leland?
Waymaker?
No, with Leland.
Oh, and Elevation.
It's called "What a Miracle," and it starts like, "What are you so good to me?" And that was like my prayer, Lord. Why are you so good to me? Like, why are you so faithful? Like I'm not a big deal. Like you're just so amazing. But yeah, God provided so many things, and it was a process of knowing that we were coming. We're not going back, but we had, in terms of ministry, we didn't have like a clear idea what was next. We were like, we're coming here because we have to, but there was not a clear idea of okay, what are we gonna do next? And it was again the process of trusting every step of the way.
Yeah.
The closed doors, the praying, the looking for advice, and yeah, I'm gonna share a little bit more tomorrow, but how he literally changed everything. And I felt like when we were planning to go somewhere, I felt like Casey and I talk about this. We felt like we were like, hey Lord, here's our plan. Come on.
He's like,
Join us,
tell
you know? And then God was like, boom, no. And then we realized God was like, hey, actually, how about you come with me,
Yeah.
follow me, you know? And that was like the big change. And I was like, whoa, you know, it was just, you know, there was a lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of fear, a lot of all right, if we take this decision, we're going to lose support, which, you know, happened, but God was faithful and with so many things. And, but yeah, it was just, again, like I remember telling Casey, it's like the same thing that we experienced when we started, of like trusting, of like not knowing all everything that's going to happen, but just trusting in the Lord. And now we're going to be able to be serve in a church plant in Virginia, a small town there. So yeah, it's beautiful how just like that open door was not even in the map. Because I was like, no, we're gonna do this. This is the plan. And little did we know that God was like, actually, you know, here's something. Here's a place. Here's and like the same thing. It was not like I was trying to, because I think I did the same thing. I was like doing the same. Oh, the place, and God was like taking it step at a time. When we realized, all right, God, here we are. What do you want from us? He was like, all right, and we started just serving. We're in the church where we are right now. It's a church that's been supporting us, and we were getting involved, and that's when God was like, all right, here it is, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's still hard sometimes, you know, the culture. It's I don't know. South Americans are like this is one of the things that I don't know how to do yet. South America, we say hi to girls or anyone that we meet in church or anywhere. You know, we give a kiss. You know, like a side kiss.
Oh, don't you do that in here?
I know. And it's normal, right?
Catch a charge real quick.
Yeah, it's so normal there. So here, like I was like, many times I was like, hey, how you doing? You know, just being me. Hey, how you doing? And they're like, you know, what's going on?
There's
What
some
do
real
you do?
creeps here, though.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm not a creep though.
Yeah.
I
We know
look
you're
like
not a
one,
creep.
but
When I was in Peru the one time, I went for like a whole month, and I went over like Christmas and New Year's, and I was at you know, Chantel and Jonathan. I was at Chantel's like parents' house or something. It was like a big Christmas, you know, gathering, and there was like a lot of like people that were doing that, the women, they would do the kiss thing. I was so nervous that I would go the wrong direction and just like connect. And I'm like, oh, please. I'm like, I already am like terrible at Spanish. Like, let's not add another cultural faux pas to the situation.
Dude, in Bolivia, they do 2 kisses. Like especially the old ladies that in the church, they go like, oh, 2 kisses.
Yeah.
I was not used to it. So the first time at 16, my parents went to Bolivia as missionaries. Like the many times I give, a kiss in the old lady's mouth, I was like, because they were like, I was used to like one, and then they push you back, and I was like, click. I was like, oh, I'm
the
sorry.
old ladies
So
are
it actually
asking your
happened
parents,
to him.
how old is he?
Yeah, it was so uncomfortable. But then I learned. Then I was like,
You're like, I won't make that mistake again. Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
My mom always did that. Like, even in America, she's always talking to everyone in the store. Like, hey, hi. And I'm like, why are you talking to everyone? And I guess it's just me. I guess
she's
people
an
just do
introvert,
that.
so
Yeah.
I feel like she's made me more introverted. But the one time we were in Washington D.C. and when we were dating, and we were going to see a concert. It was like a gospel artist. It was Ty Tribbett, and we were walking around. I started talking to this random lady about God, and like we just had this like really good conversation. We're walking away, and she's like, "I'm in love with my mother. This is ridiculous."
That's crazy.
Getting back to like as far as like the coming to the U.S. and that cultural shift and all that, stereotypically, like we kind of think of like missions as far as your journey, what you've done, like all through South America, going to Africa, going to all these different places, and that's what people see missions as. But like in being in the U.S. for 1 year, do you see this as a legitimate mission field? And if so, like what's your experience, your mindset on like missions being in the US?
Yeah, like that's a good question, because we were talking about this with Casey actually today about how because as a South American, like you said, we see United States as the country that sends missionaries, supports missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought that as a South America, I was gonna consider the United States as, hey, this is a mission field. There's a need here. They also need the gospel, and just being here 1 year and just getting to know a little bit of the culture, what is going on in the United States, is like, hey, there's a lot of work to do here. There is a mission field here that people need to see, right? That and I think it's beautiful to see other places and do missions in different countries, but also it's also good to know that, hey, what are we doing about our neighbor right here? Like they also need the gospel, and we live everywhere. We live a dark times of like so many things, so many crazy things, and for me, it was that process as well of God changing my heart and thinking, okay, missions is just a transition. We're just here to just be for the time being. We're gonna go and do missions somewhere else, and God just brought me here and be like, hey, here's a need. Young people, and parents. Like we met so many parents in our age that in the parks, and just having conversation with them, and just getting to know a lot of Latinos, which it's crazy how many Latinos are coming to the States. And I was telling Casey today, I was like, with all the, there's issues and so many things about immigrations and all that's crazy stuff. But it's like God is bringing them here to the States from different cultures. And I think we have to start as a church, start looking at them like Jesus looks at them, and be like, all right, I cannot go maybe to other countries, but hey, my neighbor is from, I don't know, Honduras. My neighbor is from, I don't know, Haiti, Dominican Republic. I might never go there, but hey, God brought me one family.
Yeah.
So what am I doing about it? And that's when I realized, I was like, yeah, I mean, there's such a great opportunity here in the States, not only with other cultures, but here also with people in America, that I think people need to, some people know the gospel, and they heard the gospel, but I think it's a time where they have to see what is the gospel look like in the church, like I think it's time for us as a church to start living the gospel and living like Jesus wants us to live, because I think you can share the gospel. And the gospel is the power of God, but when they also see that your life it's living according to the gospel, they're gonna be like, oh, wow, like he not only believes this, he lives like that. And so this is like what it's like to be a Christian. This is, man, I never thought about it. I never pictured that this was Christianity, or this was how to be a Christian. And I think we have to put that mentality of like, you know what, it's time for us to stand and be passionate about the gospel and just live the gospel. Not just speaking. Because there's a saying. A saying that I think is a famous saying. Let me translate it in English because I have it in Spanish. It's your words speak a lot, right? There's a saying that your words speak, your actions speak louder
than words,
but your reactions tell the whole story.
Gotcha.
And and I think about that phrase. It's like, yeah, it's true. Like, we can say, we can act, but when the conflict comes, when those things come, it's like, all right, my reactions actually tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Because
that's really good.
When I'm like with someone that doesn't like have the same mentality, I'm like, I still and I make an enemy out of someone that should not be my enemy. And even if I consider him an enemy, what does Jesus tells us to do with the enemies, So I think it's hard, I'm just saying this, but it's hard to live that way. But I think it's beautiful when people are like, all right, why is this guy different? Like, because everybody is expecting the norm, right? If there is like, if you're in the street and someone like insults you, everybody's waiting. All right, he's gonna get him back, right? Yeah. But when there's something different, when they're like, wait, what did he just do? He just say, hey man, I'm sorry, are you okay? And he doesn't do the same thing that everybody's expecting. Wow. There's something like, wait, hold on, there's something weird here. There's something different here. Or, for example, when you're in traffic, this is a crazy story. I was in Bolivia. Traffic there is crazy. Oh, my goodness. It's like Fast and Furious movie all the time. Like, I feel like I'm, Toretto. And I was like, and one time I remember this guy it was red light, and he passes the red light, and he brakes, and he almost hits me. Oh, which it was like, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Which it was the, the CFI. But CGI, sorry. CGI.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's too late.
It's getting late. We're parents.
Yeah, I know. It's past our bedtime, actually.
Anyway, that didn't happen. All right. So he rolled his window down, and he was like, his face was like, ah! And in that moment, I was about to get, what are you? Just that Inca in me. And something in me was like, I didn't react that way. I was like, I'm sorry, man. Are you okay? I'm sorry. And he was like, yeah. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody. And he was like, he was like
genuinely confused.
Confused,
what happened.
And I think that's the reaction that as Christians people have to see and be like, why is he different? Yeah. And we can have the opportunity to say, well, what makes us different is not that we are better, that we have something extraordinary or something different. We have Jesus, we that's what makes us different. That's what it's all about. And just live that way. Just think about it. Christians in the first century, they were mocked. They were persecuted by the Romans, by the temple, the Jews. It was just a little, like they call it like a little sect, right? It was just the beginning. And just to know that they were just preaching the gospel with their lives as well. They probably didn't know all the doctrines, theology, like that we know that we have now, but they were just living the gospel. Hey, there's Jesus Christ. He died and he rose again, and we believe him, and we're living this way. And they were like, well, what is going on? The Romans be like, well, what is happening? Like, I know you have to take a mile by law, but you're offering to go 2 miles? Like, what is what is happening? Why are you different? And it was like, well, it's hard for me, but I'm trying to live like Jesus told me to live, to bless you, even though you're my enemy and I want you out, but I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna serve you. I'm gonna show you grace, mercy, and be nice because Jesus did that for me, and He tells us to do that for others. But anyway, I'm gonna start preaching here. But
I was gonna say we'll have tomorrow a shameless plug, Wyoming Avenue Christian Church. You're gonna see a really good message tomorrow, even though this will probably be posted after the message, but. You'll have to go back and watch it on YouTube. But I mean, I've heard that like actions speak louder than words, but I've never heard that reaction is actually tells the whole story.
You might have needed to hear that today.
She knows too much. So we're not going to say anymore. But anyway, to wrap things up, so one of the things we do on the podcast whenever we have a guest is we have at the end, they ask a question to the next guest, not knowing who it will be.
All right.
So our last guest was Harry Haas. He came and he talked about politics. It was very, very interesting conversation.
Politics.
Yeah. But he asked the question, what is truth?
Truth.
What is truth?
What is the truth? Truth. I think that's what Pilate asked Jesus, right? What is truth?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, just to not take too much time. For me, the truth is Jesus.
Yeah.
He's the truth. And I think everything that is not connected to the source, which is Jesus, then it's a lie. With everything in life, with ideologies, with so many theories of everything. And everything goes away from Jesus, right? Everything is like it's not focused on the person of Jesus, and I think that's like the point that we always have to think about. Truth is Jesus. He's the truth. He's the truth. He's the reason for everything. And when you get to know Him, I think He is the source of everything. Makes sense. Everything will fall into place with so many questions, so many other like things. When He's the center and you discover who He is, that He's the truth, He's the way, the light, then everything will fall in position. Be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, He is like the compass that really guides.
The compass. Truth. Yeah, the compass. Yeah. I mean, it's not the greatest answer, but
no,
that was the greatest answer.
No, that is great because in the culture we live in today, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, my truth, my truth." Oh, we hate that so much. It's such a narcissistic phrase. But,
because it's all about me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about me.
As a Christian, like especially as Christians, like our mentality should not be inward focused, but it should be outward focused. And first at Jesus, which dictates the rest of our direction, which is powerful for sure. So, in return, the next guest that we eventually have, which we don't know who it will be. Actually, we do not know. What is the question you have for them?
All right. I thought about a question. It's not like that deep of a question.
Trust me, we've had worse, and we'll tell you about it.
It's like Derek. A really. Wait, is that the one that he says soup?
Yes.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, I think I wrote it down here.
It can't be worse than that.
Yeah. All right. So this is a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
All right. This is a yes or no answer. Yes or no?
Okay.
The Lord of the Rings, the greatest movie of all times.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh. I'm
yes or no?
Have you ever seen
I have
any of
never
them?
even seen it.
What?
No.
Okay, where are you going? Podcast is over.
Okay, just click.
No, I've never.
You have to.
Now you got to see it.
I'm interested in
so
who the
that
next
way.
guest is going to be. Like,
Yeah. No, I remember
I'm gonna
watching
have to
those.
see
I
it.
want to know what he
actually.
says. I want to know what he says.
Aren't there multiple movies of that?
Yeah, the trilogy. The Lord of the
Okay,
Rings.
it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
I haven't seen. I have watched it, but it's been such a long time. But
never.
we did
I mean-
we did a marathon with Casey. It took like a week to watch all three. Because we saw the extended versions.
Yeah.
So we had to put the kids down.
Well, to say if the kids were involved, it took a month. Like,
So
Oh my gosh.
every day we watched like an hour and a half, and we were like, oh, it's 11:30. Like, let's go to bed. Next day, all right, let's. Where do we? What was yesterday? Okay, we continue. So a week.
we're gonna have to try it.
Yeah. No doubt.
But they're so good.
Yeah.
I'm a Lord of the Ring. What is it called? Nerd.
Yeah.
I can literally like. Casey gets annoyed because she's watching the movie with me, and I'm like saying the
You're like
words.
mouthing it.
That makes me so annoyed. Like,
If I watch like a comedy movie,
That
like
drives me
anything with Will
crazy.
Ferrell, I'm over here like quoting. So.
I'm like saying the speech, arrogant speech, and just try to imitate Gollum, and like in case it's like, seriously.
Well, brother, thank you so much
Well,
for your time,
it was
and
awesome,
excited
yeah.
to hear you preach tomorrow and share with
awesome.
our church. But yeah, God
Yeah.
bless, brother.
Thank
Thanks
you for
coming
having
on.
me, and yeah, it was great.
yeah,
Heck
thank
yeah.
you.
All right, brother. Thank you again.
Speaking through the grass. Speaking through the grass. Speaking through the grass. How did it happen?